Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the Los Angeles Clippers MyNBA series here on NBA 2K24 as we get back with the Clips as they get ready for what is kind of a rubber match here in Minnesota as they face the Timberwolves for the third time in 4 weeks, and the first two games have been split. The Clippers won the game 4 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago it was Minnesota who won. So it's time for Game 3 between these two squads. If you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more basketball content, as the Clippers could also really use this win. They're floating around in that play-in tournament spots. They would like to not have to go through that route as last year they lost in the play-in tournament, while the Minnesota Timberwolves sit 39-19 on the season, second best team in the West. So a good matchup to test yourself as we're here at half court for the tip-off. It is won by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we are underway as they bring it up the court. One Timberwolf you will not see tonight is Anthony Edwards. He is out for the rest of the season with a fractured right leg, so you wish him a speedy recovery as the first basket is a miss from Karl Anthony Towns. It's now the first possession here for the Clippers. Gets underway as Kawhi has it at the top of the key. Him and Cat, that's going to be the matchup of the night. Anthony Towns guarding him closely. Leonard creates a little bit of space and tries to hit a fadeaway, but he's off the mark. Timberwolves, one of the better teams in the league, trying to really solidify themselves, potentially even get past that 1-seed Thunder as we get down into what is about the final 30 games of the regular season, 25 for some of these squads. As you can see, Minnesota did win back on February 12th. It was a good team effort on that side of the basketball. As there's another miss, still looking for our first basket of the night. As Leonard down low for a layup, and he's able to hit, and there is your first basket. Kawhi Leonard over Karl Anthony Towns a minute into the ballgame. Shake Milton brings up the course. Your starting five for the Timberwolves are Shake Milton, D'Anthony Melton, Jaden McDaniels, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert. As Karl Anthony Towns had 32 points in Minnesota's wins the other night against the Phoenix Suns. While your starting five for the Clippers is Nah'Shon Hyland, Paul George, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Kevin Love. George is getting the start tonight. It was doubtful if he'd play as he gets on the board there with the layup. So far against Minnesota this year, 22.7 points per game through their first three matchups. But George is battling a neck injury. He has a sprained nerve in his neck. He was doubtful for this game, but he's suiting up. He realizes how important some of these games down the stretch are, and he is in the starting lineup as there's a three ball that hits from Shake Milton to finally get Minnesota on the board. Hyland now with the basketball, gets the screen, looks right side. Hyland's been a very welcome addition offensively this year, averaging over 17 points per game. As he tries to drive inside, hook is off the glass and in. Nice shot there by Hyland. As you can see his stats right there, 17.7 points per game, 3.9 assists. Has really established himself as one of the starting guards of this team and looks to continue to be that way for the future. Defensively, maybe a little bit undersized, but you cannot deny his scoring prowess as well. He commits a reach-in foul right there. As the first foul of the game has been commenced. Timberwolves will inbound it from the sideline as former Minnesota Timberwolves Kevin Love guarding the inbounds. He is getting the start at center tonight because Ivica Zubac will miss some time. He'll actually miss the rest of the regular season with a fractured leg. If we do make it to the postseason, he should be ready. But we got to get to that point as there's a foul on James Harden. Didn't really need to have that happen because it looked like it was a block by Love. That'll send the former 76er D'Anthony Melton to the line, who's 80% from the charity stripe, averaging 11 points per game for this Timberwolves at that guard position. 6-5 now your score is Paul George with it. Going to get a screen left side from Love, gets some space. George drives to the rim and he gets fouled. Not a bad foul there for Rudy Gobert. It looked like George was going to take that one all the way to the basket. He's had a nice season, 23.3 points per game, 5.4 rebounds. He's arguably been the best all-around player for this Clippers squad. As you can see, though, after those free throws, holding the back of his neck, so that pinched nerve is definitely a factor for him. We'll have to see how he fights through that injury. Shake Milton now inside for Anthony Towns. Milton had 25 points and a double-double in that win against Phoenix. Really the star of that game. This was a good win for the T-Wolves. As Towns gets into the paint, gives it up for Milton. Out to the three-point line. That's off the mark. That was D'Anthony Melton from straight away. Rebounded by Kawhi Leonard, quickly pushing the pace. Cutting inside is Highland, and he gets big inside but can't get it to go. Falls off the top of the rim, and Melton the other way actually almost loses the ball as Kevin Love poked it away. Now into the hands of Shake Milton. Over to Towns, being guarded by Harden. This is the mismatch they want. And Towns gets right by Harden into the rack. Another 2 points. Cat 24.5 points per game here at Target Center with 3.9 assists and 8.4 rebounds. Having himself a very nice season, an all-star this year for the 5th time. As Leonard gets some contact, doesn't get it to go. Leonard had 18 points in the win on Monday against the Charlotte Hornets. He's had a down season for his standards, but still a key contributor of this team. There's a three-point ball that's in. Karl Anthony Towns gets it from straight away. The number 1 pick back in 2015 continues to lead this Timberwolves squad. Now Leonard being guarded by Cat at the top. The Claw versus the Cat. Screen coming inside for Love. Leonard gets some space, so has a drive, and he's going to get fouled. And we'll go to the end of the first quarter, where it'll be the Timberwolves with a 26-22 lead after 12 minutes of play. Going to the second quarter now, halfway through, 6:24 left on the clock. Now it's a 3-point game. Minnesota holds a 40-37 lead. This is Jalen Noel with the basketball over to Karl Anthony Towns. Leonard still all over him. Cat's done a pretty good job offensively, but this is a nice defensive possession for Leonard as he has to give it up to Melton, who had a very hot first quarter, 10 points. Trying to go for a 3-ball now as he's off the mark. George corrals it. He's been leading the way for the Clippers. He goes right to the basket. Nobody picks up PG-13, and he gets an easy layup and again holds his neck. Well, we'll bring it up the court. Back to a 1-point game. These two teams very evenly matched here. It's Highland now guarding the basketball. Looks like they're trying to get a man open off screen. It's Melton. Harden fights through the screens. James Harden, I would have to say, has really picked up on the defensive side of the basketball. A lot has been made in the past about his defensive ability, but he's played some pretty good defense. As there's a miss by Gobert. Kevin Love with the rebound over to George. Now up to Leonard. He's going to pull it back. Hands it off for Highland. Looks like they'll reset and try to get a play here. George screen left side. Highland going to pull from 3, fading to his left. That's not a good shot, as it'll be rebounded by Rudy Gobert. 5 minutes left to go here in the first half. As Noel now with it, trying to get it inside for Anthony Towns. Instead, they'll back off that play. Good defense inside by Leonard. Now Melton's just going to try to drive on Harden, but Harden stays with them all the way. That's what I'm talking about. Good defense there. Now Shake trying to shake. Yes, pun intended on George, and he gets it to go with the right hand. Shake with the little shimmy is able to get it to go, and he's been up 3 now. Go the Timberwolves. Now George on the other end trying to play a little bit of ISO here on Milton. Gets by him inside. Over to Love. Over to Highland. Wide open for 3, and he can't get it to go. Highland's knocked down a couple of tray balls in the first half, but can't get it on that one. Instead, quick fast pace on the other end. Anthony Towns gets inside. Leonard stays grounded. Nixon give up the basketball. Over now to Melton, go the Timberwolves. Anthony Towns comes around the 3-point line over to Noel. 3 seconds left to go here on the shot clock. Noel's just going to heave up a 3, and it's going to be off the mark. Good defense there by the Clippers. Good discipline. Leonard on the other end. Gets inside, draws a double team, backs it up. Over to Harden, who's had himself a quiet first half here in Minnesota. Gets a screen, dishes it inside for Leonard. Trying to back down Anthony Towns. Nice drop step, and Leonard with the strength. Gets it to go on Anthony Towns. That'll cut it to a 1-point game as the Timberwolves will call timeouts. And we'll go to the end of the first half where the Timberwolves lead by 4. 49-45 is your score. A tough physical battle here in the Target Center, but only one of these teams can win it. Will it be the Los Angeles Clippers, or will it be the Minnesota Timberwolves? We'll have to find out in the second half. Very contested contest here at the Target Center. As the Timberwolves, you can see, led by Karl Anthony Towns, 14, but it's Paul George who leads all scorers with 16. He only has the Clippers down by 4 points with a half to play. It will be the Clippers to start off with the basketball here in the second half as we're ready back for action in this one. Also, just a little side note. Thank you guys so much for the support with the WNBA episode this past Monday. I did not expect that to happen. If you want to see more WNBA action, please let me know in the comment section below. I have no problem trying to bring that to you guys if that's what you want to see. But back to the action here. As off the miss from LAC. Timberwolves back now with it. Jaden McDaniels also quiet in the first half. He was very active in the Timberwolves win in the second game of this little 3-game matchup. As Shake with a nice step back there, but gets it to miss. As I thought that was going to drop. Instead, toilet bowls around the rim. Inside, Highland tries to find Leonard. Finally gets it to the claw, and he banks it off the glass for the first points of the second half. Just like that, a one-possession game again. That's how this game has been so far. Nobody able to really establish a commanding lead. Here's Towns in the corner. Got to pull from 3, and he nails it. Even turns his back to the basket. Karl-Anthony Towns, a little bit of swagger there. Hits the 3 ball. 14 points in the first half for Cats, and he gets 3 already here in the second. George trying to answer inside. He draws the foul on Jaden McDaniels. He'll head to the free throw line. So we saw George 16 first half points, but he's unable to get the first free throw to go. Second one is up and in. So Paul George on the board here. Back to a 4-point lead for Minnesota. The Clippers could really use a win here. They have the Utah Jazz next. That's not one of the better teams, but then they have to go and face the best team in the East in the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then another top team in the Sacramento Kings. So this is a big win here for the Clippers if they can get it done. As Highland sends Shake Milton to the free throw line, as he will knock down the first. Second free throw is up, and it is in. That is now a 6-point lead here for Minnesota, trying to pull away from LAC. The Clippers can do on this possession. Highland dumps it inside for George. Here comes the double team. That leaves Leonard open for 3, and he's going to knock it down. If they give us that look with Kawhi all night, we'll surely take that. It shows that Minnesota respects what Paul George can do on the post. And that's just what PG-13, in my opinion, brings to the table. He's quick with the basketball. He's big against guards. But he can also bang down low if need be. That opened the door for Kawhi on that play. Speaking of Leonard, here he is guarding Towns. Less than 6 seconds left to go here on the shot clock. Towns drives in left side, hands it off for Milton. He's going to have to heave up a 3 with Highland all over him, and it's in and out. Bones also collects the rebounds, brings it up the court here for the Clippers. Tries to get it inside for Love, but it's intercepted. Karl-Anthony Towns there in the passing lane, forces the turnover. As Milton gets inside from the mid-range, but a little too strong. Rebounded by Love. Over to Highland, bounce pass up to Harden. He pulls from 3, and he can't get it to go. Shake Milton, 7 points on 2 of 9 shooting. Hasn't been the best offensively here for the Timberwolves. See if he can contribute with the passing, though. They give it over to Gobert, now over to McDaniels. Inside for Towns, who's being guarded by Highland. George comes down to help. That leaves Jaden McDaniels open for 3, and he misses it. As Clippers catch a huge break there, as McDaniels only 4 points on the night. And misses a wide-open 3. Harden with it now. Another man who's been quiet here on the night. Trying to get him involved. Isolation. He quickly gives it up for George, though. As with 3 seconds, George actually over to Harden. He's just going to catch and shoot as the shot clock expires, and he's off the mark. Not a good possession there for the Clippers, who did trail by 3 points. Milton tries to get inside. He's had himself a hot night. Milton for 3. Another miss. That's now 2 for 10 from the floor for the point guard. Harden now maybe trying to tie it up once more. It's a screen right side for Love. Harden over to K-Love. Going to be guarded off the switch by the guard. He's going to use the strength, try to back down his man. That leaves Harden open for 3, and this time he knocks it down. Ties the game up. Let's see if that's the spark that the Beard needs. Averaging 20.5 points on the road. We need those numbers to show up tonight. This is a tie ball game, back to square one. A hotly contested battle here in Minnesota. The packed crowd at the Target Center. As Karl-Anthony Towns for 3 answers right back, and that's what superstars do. Big shot needed. You turn to Cats, and he gets them a 3-point lead once more. 57-54 now. George Gets some screens, drives the basket, and throws it down with 2 hands for safety. PG-13 off the pick and roll. Gets inside, cuts it to within 1. Paul George recently actually signed a contract extension after the All-Star break for the Clippers. He is here to stay, and he actually took a little bit of a pay cut to stay in Los Angeles. We'll see what that comes in the coming weeks and months, as right now Love gets inside and scores on his former team. Former Minnesota Timberwolves, Cleveland Cavalier, and Miami Heat forward gets on the board. Now the Clippers with a 1-point lead as Milton tries to drive inside, too strong with the floater. Rebounded by George, up the court, Harden to the basket, and he gets the contact and the layup. James starting to heat up, nice facilitation by George as the Clippers now pull to a 3-point lead. Timberwolves trying to answer back here inside 7 minutes. Milton with the basketball. Tries to drive on Harden, right side. It's a tough layup, and he doesn't get it to go. The Beard with the rebound. Pushes it up the court. Tries to penetrate a little bit. Gets attacked by Anthony Towns. Draws the foul. We'll go to the end of the third quarter, where it's tied up at 75. 1 quarter to play, and these teams are still not separated by much. Right now it's a 1-point game with 9 minutes left to play, 81-80 in favor of the Timberwolves. You can tell this one is going to be a fight to the end. Highland off the off-ball screen, tries to throw it up for Griffin, but it's intercepted. Naz Reid on the other end, over to Lee, long 2, no, can't get it to go. Rebounded by Paul George. He's going to bring the pace up himself. Lee trying to get back on defense. George will hang back, try to catch a little bit of a breather and set up this play. Here comes Covington for the screen. George tries to drive on Anthony Towns, over to Covington. 5 seconds left to go on the shot clock. He's going to try to back his man down. Uses size to his advantage. Goes with the right hook, and he can't connect. And Minnesota enters team takeover mode. This is not good for the Clippers. Naz Reid will bring it up himself. Going to be guarded by the former number 1 overall pick in Blake Griffin. Noel now with it. Dumps it inside for Gobert. Being guarded by Boston, and that is a mismatch. Gobert slams it over the much smaller BJ Boston. That is your 6-time first-team all-defensive player with a throwdown of epic proportions. Timberwolves now lead by 3. Island trying to get something going here, trying to weather the storm of the Timberwolves. He drives inside. Over to Covington for 3, and he knocks it down. It's a huge 3 by Big Cov. Ties it back up. The bench all excited for that one. 83-83. That is a veteran shot when you need it. See if the Timberwolves can answer right back off of the give and go. It's Noel who gets inside, and Jalen Noel, averaging a career high 13.2 points per game this year, gives Minnesota the lead once more. 85-83 as we come up on 7 minutes. George will have it top of the key. Tries to size up his man. Drives right side. Now goes left. Back to the right. And he's going to get fouled hard. They'll send him to the line for 2 free throws. George continues to lead for the Clippers as he makes the first. Second free throw for the tie is up and in. And we're back at 85 as these teams continue to trade blows. This feels like a big heavyweight matchup. And honestly, the Clippers make the play-in tournament. This could be a matchup we see in the first round, and I'm all for it if they keep playing like this. Towns with it at the free throw line, being guarded by Covington. Nice backdoor cut, though, by Milton, who gets fouled, and he's starting to really heat up. We'll go to the final 3 minutes as Leonard knocks a free throw down. 4 points separates these two squads with 3 minutes to play. All the starters are in. It's a fight to the finish. Anthony Melton, former teammate of James Harden in Philadelphia, with it. Now over to Shake. He's had himself a very good fourth quarter, and he adds to it with 2 more. That pushes Minnesota to the 100 mark, and it's a 6-point lead with 2:45 to play. The Clippers have kept it close, but this feels like a basket you need. Harden inside for George. Being guarded by McDaniels. Trying to back him down. Spins off of him, and can't get it to go. Tough shot. Rebounded by McDaniels. Pushes it up the floor. Here's Melton with it. Tries to drive inside. Island is there. He'll back it up. Here comes Karl-Anthony Towns from 3. Hand in his face. A little strong. But Gobert gets the offensive rebound and slams it home. That almost feels like a dagger possession. 8-point lead now for Minnesota, one of their largest of the night. And we're coming up on 2 minutes left to play. You need a basket here if you're the Clippers. You cannot miss on this possession. George goes off the screen, gets to the basket, dishes it for Love. Has McDaniels on him. Hands it off for George. That's a tough one off the left foot, and he can't get it to go. That's a big miss here as we're inside 2 minutes. This game feels like it's starting to slip away from the Clippers. Milton inside for Towns, being guarded by Love. And he gets Love off his feet, goes right around him and scores. It's a 10-point game. It just seems like the wind has been taken out of the sails of the Clipper ships. George at the top of the key, just trying to do something here. You don't have all the time in the world. Gets a screen, goes to the basket, he'll score. This one, we're just going to go to the end of it. Is all but over. The Timberwolves win by a final score of 110-99. Tough game here in Target Center. Definitely worthy of a rubber match between these two squads, but it's the home team who gets to go home happy. Clippers just ran out of steam towards the end of this one. They couldn't keep pace, and that's what elite teams do. They pull away when it matters. Here's a look at the Timberwolves scores. It was not really all-around team effort. There was 3 good players, and only 7 Timberwolves had points on the night. George led the way for the Clippers. A lot of the same thing on this side. 3 players in double digits, and then a bunch of players with 7 and 4 and 2, as only 8 Clippers scored. We then go to our next game where it gets a little worse. We lose to the Jazz, 116-98, an 18-point loss. It's one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. That's a big blow for the Clippers. That also takes us to the end of the month of February, where Trae Young gets Player of the Month in the East with his new home in Brooklyn. Ja Morant in the West. As far as the rookies, it's Alexander Sarr of the Hornets and Jacoby Walter of the Warriors. 2 new rookies getting those awards. We'll also come up on contract extension deadline. We're only going to talk about one contract, and this is Ivica Zubac. I've been very critical of him and his speed ability for this squad, but his absence has really showed that he's a very good rebounder, so I do think there is a future of him on this team, especially at only 27 years old. So we're going to give him a 3-year contract that he will accept. So Zubac is here to stay in Los Angeles. This is where he's been his whole career. And he's actually taking a little bit of a pay cut. So again, veterans taking a pay cut maybe allows us to add another piece in free agency. Here are your players of the week is Joel Embiid in the East and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the West. Both players in the MVP conversation. And then we bounce back and beat the Cavs, one of the best teams in the league, 115-113. So we lose to the Jazz, but we beat the Cavs. Very back and forth. That sends us to 29-31 and sets the stage for our next episode against the 36-27 Kings in a nationally televised game. The Kings are going all in this year. They traded De'Aaron Fox for Klay Thompson to get some veteran presence and another sharpshooter. They're trying to make a run of the postseason. We'll see what they're all about next episode. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. If you're excited for more Clippers basketball and the rest of this regular season, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.